Would you believe me if I told you you could try today's trends without buying any new furniture? You probably wouldn't believe me, and so many of my clients say to me, I want this design style, but I already have this, I already have that. So in my new series, Trying Today's Trends, we're going to try a new trend every episode and apply it without buying any new furniture. It's all going to come down to bedding and decor. And we're celebrating the start of this series by tackling the all too famous Nancy Meyers aesthetic. Now, before we get into today's video though, please consider smashing that subscribe button because I have new videos just like this one every Monday and Friday, but let's try these trends. So if you don't know what the Nancy Meyers aesthetic is, think Father of the Bride, The Holiday, Something's Gotta Give. These are classic homey interiors that we know and love from television. Nancy Meyers is actually a film director who's responsible for crafting these films, and she's not only famous because of how great she is as a director, she's crafted these dreamy interiors that we just want to move into even though they're movie sets. So let me first give you an overview of what her aesthetic is. If I had to characterize this style, I would probably call it a warm coastal. So coastal in that it has a lot of linen. It's all about the pattern. It's very much so relaxed. It's very much so lived in. Everything is curated, but it doesn't look like you can't live in the home. It looks like you can relax there. You can have a cup of tea. You can put your feet up on the table. And that's what we're going to try and emulate. It also screams coastal just because of the color palette. In most of her interiors, you will see a lot of blues, a lot of whites. The color palette is very, very light and airy. And you're also going to see lots of greens. Another way that she makes the spaces feel very light and airy is via florals. There are tons of plants, there are tons of flowers, and we're seeing those plants and flowers not only in actuality, but we're also seeing them via the textiles used and the type of art that is put on the walls. It is also a very textile heavy design style. You're gonna see lots of throw pillows, you're gonna see blankets, you're gonna see quilts. It's layered, it's lived in. It's one of those things like, hey, we're sitting on the sofa, we're watching TV, and we have 50 million throw pillows that we can all be comfortable. But the throw pillows do look beautiful and they're very artfully selected. We're also going to see a lot of pattern. A great way that she infuses tons of character in a space without making that space look visually cluttered is by layering on the texture and the pattern. So you're going to see floral patterns. You're going to see different stitching on quilts. You're going to see different pillow covers and mismatched pillow covers. We are going to see pattern. We're going to do some pattern play here. Another hallmark of her design style is the mixing of the new and old. So we're going to have pieces that are antiques, or they look like antiques, or they look vintage, and we're also going to have newer items. We're really going to want to strike that balance. We're also going to see a huge emphasis on function. So we're gonna have decor, we're gonna have all of that decor, but we're also going to think about drinking water, listening to music, having lighting, making sure the house smells good, having a space that actually meets your needs and not a space that looks really pretty and we have to hide all of our needs in the cupboard or in the drawers or something to that effect. We are also going to find that a lot of the design choices are kind of rooted in the time where these films were really popular. So the late 90s, early 2000s, we weren't as focused on our telephones, on social media. We're more focused on listening to the radio, reading books, and you're going to see a celebration of that in the design style. And I think that's a celebration we should definitely bring back to the more intimate parts of our home. And last but not least, we're also going to see darker wood tones. But now that you have a really great grasp on what the Nancy Meyers aesthetic is, let's head on into our test kitchen and get started. Here is a first look at this room. I've emptied it out so that you can see what it looks like, the bare bones. We're keeping the bed, we're keeping the nightstand, we're even keeping the rugs, because I know that buying a new rug can be very, very pricey. So eliminating this altogether would make the design style really, really inaccessible. And the whole point of this series is to prove to you that you can achieve a look without changing your major furniture pieces. I truly believe you can get almost 75% of the way there with just decorative accents. So the most impactful thing you can do in a space to try to achieve an interior design style, no matter what that interior design style is to switch up your textiles. By that, I mean switch up your bedding, switch up your pillows, switch up your blankets. This applies to your living room. This applies to your bedroom. It even applies to the linens that you're putting on your dining table. It even applies to the linens that you use in your bathroom, the types of towels you select, and the rugs you put on the floor. Now, rugs are really expensive, so I wanted to, you know, kind of eliminate that from the textile category. So today we're just going to be working with bedding. Now this Nancy Meyers aesthetic is very, very layered, and there's a huge emphasis on the colors green, blue, and white. So those are colors that I really want to saturate this room in. And because it's a very layered look, all of our bedding is going to introduce a new texture. So first I went in with one of my pick stitch quilts that is very similar to one from Pottery Barn. Then I put down a silk quilt that I got from Banana Republic Home, and then on top of that I put another quilt that has a pick stitch to it, but it is blue and white. So I'm introducing new colors, different stitches, different patterns, so that it's really, really amping up that layered feeling. So again, we're all about pattern play right now. So I'm gonna throw in some shams that are totally different from any of the patterns we have going on the bed right now, but it's the same color white. So we're not adding something that is wildly different. As you can see, this is a nice scalloped detail on this quilt, which is kind of an ode to the bed skirt that we added to the base. And something I think people often get wrong when it comes to adding pillows is that they're not adequately full. So these are actually like massive pillows inside these standard king shams to really make the look pop. I also like to use king pillows on a queen bed in the back, not necessarily in the front, but in the back, so that they're really nice and full and they will be visible in front of the other pillows. I often find that when pillows get layered, they also get lost. So you need to be really cognizant of the heights of things and the way you choose to position your textiles. And as you can see here, you can very clearly see the pillows in the back with these queen size ones layered in the front. Floral patterns also are hugely popular in this aesthetic, so I'm adding these. They're fun, they add a little floral pattern. This style is really big on florals, and this is an instance where you can either chop your pillows or leave them unchopped. Honestly, this style was a lot more popular in the 90s, and that's when chopping pillows was a little bit more popular. So we're gonna go ahead and chop them. Last but certainly not least, we're going to add some bolsters as well. Bolsters help to literally and figuratively round out the design. When we are sticking to a simpler color palette like this, we just want to have fun with shapes, have fun with something so it doesn't feel so redundant. Now, I don't know about you, but this room is feeling really dim to me. And in a design style like this, we want it to be light, airy, welcoming. And this feels like an absolute cave, even though the walls are white and all of that good stuff. So we're going to add some lighting. In an instance like this, this is where we want a nice swing arm light, preferably that is like a solid metal. This is the kind of style I would imagine. It's very, very traditional. It's a nice swing arm. It adds a lot of metal, a lot of contrast, but this is $499 and we already have something. So this is where you use those same task lamps that you'd have in RH aesthetic or something like that, and put them on either side of the bed. But so that they don't feel overwhelming, we want to position them so that they're at like the same height as where the headboard ends. And then we can just swivel them in or out to kind of suit our needs. And as a pro tip, that's why shapes like these are so valuable, because they can fit really well underneath furniture. So part of it is going to sit underneath the bed and the other part is going to sit underneath the nightstand. And we just want to push it back as far as possible so that it is not impeding our ability to sleep. We don't want to hit our heads, things like that. And just look at how much more inviting that feels, how much more vibrant this feels. And we just want to tuck the nightstand up against it so it's not taking up any floor space, and you can, I didn't lock it. And you can rotate this as you see fit. So you can rotate it like this, you can rotate it towards the bed. It's super versatile, easy to turn on and off, and much easier than honestly setting up a smart plug or something like that. Just look at how those additions really brightened up the room and made it a lot more lively, a lot more inviting. And the last type of lighting I added was just a table lamp, and I'm only adding that on one side. So in a style like this, There can of course be symmetry. I already have matching nightstands. I already own matching lamps. Symmetry can be a beautiful thing, but don't be afraid of asymmetry as well. Asymmetrical balance is the idea that things occupy the same amount of space, but you're not using the exact same items on either side. So on this side, I might have this lamp that is super floral because florals are a huge tenet of this Nancy Meyers aesthetic, which we saw with those bed pillows, but I'm also going to have actual flowers on the other side to kind of balance it out. It's going to take up the same kind of visual amount of space as the lamp, but it's not going to be a lamp so that the space doesn't feel hyper repetitive. So the next step of achieving the Nancy Meyers aesthetic then is to add flowers, and we're going to do that in a myriad of ways. So first up, we're going to do it with that aforementioned lamp. It has purple flowers and blue flowers and yellow flowers, and again, we're really leaning into the blue and green in this design style, so I selected a lamp that did have that. Now, something the room already had that works super well is this faux dogwood tree. You can add a real tree, you can add a faux tree, but we definitely need to have green, lots and lots of green in this interior design style. Now again, a huge goal here is using things that you already have. So I had this trumpet vase left over from our baby shower. I just got faux hydrangeas and some faux moss stems. I had the moss stems already, and I made a little arrangement. Is the vase a little bit too large? Yes, but I wanted to use what I already have because vases are really expensive. So this is another way we're having some florals. Another way we're gonna actually do that is via the types of vases that we choose. So to introduce more flowers, we're gonna go in with a chinoiserie style vase. Having vases like that or vases like that is a great way to have those floral elements as well. And it also is a great way to introduce those blue tones, those deeper blue tones that we're seeing in our quilt that we definitely wanna have in the space. So this is an example of one of those vases, and I just put some faux artichokes in there, which I had from a prior flower arrangement, but it would have been fine just without that. And it's just a mix and match. So you can see these are somewhat similar in style, but they're not identical. But before we dive into the styling, I need to tell you about the next thing your Nancy Meyers inspired space needs, and that is a book. You need books, and they don't need to be, you know, the most beautiful coffee table books. They should be the books that you enjoy, the books that you're reading, things like that. There are so many books in these sets that she creates because it's meant to be lived in. And you also have to think about the timing of these movies. So the 90s, the early 2000s, people weren't sitting around on their phones and their iPads. They were consuming content via reading, which is something I think many of us need to get back to. I'm trying to wean myself off of my Kindle. So we want to have books. We want to have stacks of books. We want to have books that are just interesting to look at, interesting to read. Like one of the books I'm going to be putting out is the math book. We really like math in this household, and it teaches you about math. Is it filled with like beautiful interiors? No, but it's filled with information that we want to consume. And so this is a more living and like functional and intellectual focused interior design style, and I really love that. And with this interior design style, this is not a less is more approach. So you could of course leave this nightstand as it is, but this is also a style where we really celebrate family experiences. And this is my daughter's room. It's also my office, but it's also my daughter's room. So we're definitely going to lean into that here. So that's why we have picture frames. Picture frames are huge in this design style. I'm obviously not going to put her picture in it right now because yeah. And then it's also a celebration of family. So this is my grandmother's art. And because she does have a plate in this painting that is very reminiscent of the style we're going for, I thought this piece would be perfect. And I just layered it on using an easel. So it's very much so an example of curated clutter. You know, there's definitely more stuff than you'd see in a more contemporary styling, but it's not overwhelming. Every single thing kind of makes sense, and it helps contribute to the overall storyline. And again, we're still all about books, so add as many stacks of books as you would like. And you can also layer using trays. In styling, I want you to think about stuff you'd actually like to have. So what does that even mean? Normally when we're styling and the design styles I talk about, we're just following the rule of three. We're just thinking about things that look good, but then maybe we're shoving our sleep spray in our nightstand. Maybe we're shoving our headphones in our nightstand. Maybe we have a water bottle in our nightstand. This style is kind of the antithesis of that. Everything is sitting out in the open. So in this instance, I added a radio. You want to listen to some music. You want to, you know, play a podcast without wearing headphones in your bed, because who wants to wear headphones in bed? This is a great way for you to do so. This also leans into the time, again, that those movies were being made, radio was everything. So this is us really leaning into that. You could do a record player, you could do an Alexa, you can do whatever works for you, but we're not hiding those practical elements. We're embracing them and really blending them into the decorating. And you can be repetitive in this design style. So we had some of these on the other side. Let's add some more. Why not? And of course, we can't forget about scent and other practical things. So I'm adding in some coasters in case they miss the tray, which just does happen. And since we spent so much time leaning into the florals with our design, it's only right that we add a floral candle and a nice brass snuffer. And almost everything here besides the vases are practical, right? We have a carafe, we have coasters, we have a candle, we have a candle snuffer, we have a radio. So we're not just adding stuff that has no purpose. These things have utility, they just look beautiful. And you'll also notice that we're not following the rule of 3. Of course, we're trying our best to stick to odd grouping. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but it's okay to have a little bit of an outlier. We want to fill the surfaces, but in a non-cluttered way. As I said, this really is a design style that emphasizes cluttered chaos. Now you know how to achieve the Nancy Meyers aesthetic without buying any new furniture. And the best part is, because this is collected clutter, it's very much so just picking up items that you already have in the home and styling them. If you don't have items that kind of fit with the color scheme, I recommend going to your local thrift store. I always find items in this style at the thrift store, so that's a really affordable way to grab them. I also was able to find a lot of these products on Amazon, so I've linked them down below if you're interested, and I've also linked some from other websites that you can shop really easily in case you want to achieve this look but aren't quite sure where to shop. But I'm telling you, this is a collected look, so just look around your home, look in your memorabilia boxes. I guarantee you have items that are going to really bring this design style to life. Let me know down in the comments what design style you want me to tackle next in this series. Again, this is trying today's trends. This was super fun. I love how this turned out, and I know that we can use a lot of products to try a new style. I'm thinking about doing something inspired by Soho House next time, but let me know down in the comments what design style you want me to tackle without buying any new furniture. The style that gets the most number of votes will be done next. If you liked today's video, I'd love it if you smashed that subscribe button, but until next time, have a beautiful day.